Hello everybody, myself Dr. Pankaj Kumar, faculty in Department of Pharmacology, SKMC, Muzaffarpur. Today we will discuss about pharmacotherapy for bronchial asthma. Now come to definition of bronchial asthma. Bronchial asthma is characterized by hyperresponsiveness of tracheobronchial smooth muscles to a variety of stimuli, resulting in narrowing of air tubes, often accompanied by increased secretion, mucosal edema, and mucus plugging. Symptoms of bronchial asthma include dyspnea, wheezing, cough, and may have limitation of physical activity. Asthma is now recognized to be a primary inflammatory condition. Risk factor for bronchial asthma includes endogenous factors and environmental factors. Endogenous factors include atopy, genetic predisposition, obesity, and early infection. In environmental factor, indoor allergens, outdoor allergens, and passive smoking. Mast cell present in lungs and inflammatory cells recruited as a result of the initial reaction produce multitude of mediators. These mediators constrict bronchial smooth muscle and cause mucosal edema, hyperemia, and produce viscid secretion, all resulting in reversible airway obstruction. Now come to approach to treat bronchial asthma. First is prevention of antigen antibody reaction by avoidance of antigen and hyposensitization. Introduction of IgE, that is regionic antibody, by using omalizumab. Next is suppression of inflammation and bronchial hyperactivity by use of corticosteroid. Next is prevention of release of mediator by use of mast cell stabilizer. Next is antagonism of released mediator by using leukotriene antagonist, antihistamines, and platelet activating factor antagonist. Next is blockade of constrictor neurotransmitter by use of anticholinergic. Next is mimicking dilator neurotransmitter by use of sympathomimetics. Last is directly acting bronchodilator by methylxanthines. Now come to classification of anti-asthmatic drug. First is bronchodilators. Bronchodilators include beta 2 sympathomimetics, methylxanthine, and anticholinergic. Beta 2 sympathomimetics include salbutamol, terbutaline, benbuterol, salmeterol, formoterol, and ephedrine. Methylxanthine include theophylline, aminophylline, choline theophyllinate, hydroxyethyl theophylline, theophylline ethanolate of piperazine, and doxophylline. Anticholinergic includes ipratropium bromide and tiotropium bromide. Second is leukotriene antagonist. It includes montelukast and zafirlukast. Third is mast cell stabilizer. It includes sodium chromoglycate and ketotifen. Fourth is corticosteroid. Corticosteroid used in two forms, systemic and inhalation. Systemic corticosteroid is hydrocortisone, prednisolone, and others. Inhalational corticosteroid is beclomethasone, dipropionate, budesonide, fluticasone, propionate, flunisolide, and cyclesonide. Fifth is anti-IgE antibody. It includes omalizumab. Now come to management of bronchial asthma. Management of bronchial asthma is divided into non-pharmacological management and pharmacological management. Risk factor for bronchial asthma includes endogenous factors and environmental factors. Endogenous factors include atopy, genetic predisposition, obesity, and early infection. In environmental factor, indoor allergens, outdoor allergens, and passive smoking. Now come to pharmacological management of bronchial asthma. Before initiating a new drug therapy, practitioner should check adherence with existing therapy, check inhaler technique, and eliminate trigger factors. Second, inhaled corticosteroids are the recommended as preventive drug for adult and children for achieving overall treatment goals. Third, the first choice as aid-on therapy to inhaled corticosteroids in adult is an inhaled long-acting beta-2 agonist, which should be considered before increasing the dose of inhaled corticosteroids. Fourth is if asthma control remains suboptimal after addition of an inhaled long-acting beta-2 agonist, then the dose of inhaled corticosteroid should be increased from low dose to medium dose in adults or from very low dose to low dose in children of 5 to 12 years if not already on these doses. Now come to approach to treat bronchial asthma. First is prevention of antigen antibody reaction by avoidance of antigen, and hyposensitization. Introduction of IgE, that is unique antibody, by using omalizumab. Next is suppression of inflammation and bronchial hyperactivity by use of corticosteroids. Now come to beta 2 agonist. It is usually given by inhalation route, the most effective bronchodilator with minimal side effect. It has no effect on airway inflammation and airway hyperresponsiveness. Mechanism of action of beta 2 agonist is to relaxation of airway smooth muscles, inhibition of mediator release from mast cell and inhibit microvascular leakage and enhanced mucociliary clearance. Beta 2 agonist is divided into short acting beta 2 agonist, that is SABA, and long acting beta 2 agonist LABA. Short acting beta 2 agonist SABA are most widely used and effective bronchodilators. It is effective in protecting against various challenges such as exercise, cold air, and allergens. It is bronchodilator of choice in treating acute severe asthma. Its duration of action is 3 to 6 hours and it is used for symptomatic relief on as needed basis, that is 4 to 6 times a day. Example of SABA is albuterol or salbutamol. Dose of salbutamol is 100 microgram in single dose by inhalation or 2 to 4 milligram TDS orally. Next is terbutaline. Oral inhalation of terbutaline causes tooth enamel erosion, and dose of terbutaline is 250 microgram by inhalation and 2.5 to 5 milligram BD or TDS by oral route. It is only bronchodilator safe in pregnancy. Next is bambuterol. It is used only in chronic asthma. Dose of bambuterol is 10 to 20 milligram orally once a day. Next is levalbuterol. It is R enantiomer of albuterol. And next is metoprolol. It has lesser beta 2 selectivity. Now come to long acting beta 2 agonist, that is LABA. It improves asthma control and reduce frequency of exacerbation. It is always used in combination with inhaled corticosteroid therapy. It allows asthma to be controlled at lower dose of inhaled corticosteroid. Example of LABA is salmeterol. It has slow onset of action and duration of action is 12 hours. Dose of salmeterol is 25 to 100 microgram inhalation BT. Now come to formoterol. Formoterol is another long-acting beta-2 agonist having faster onset of action and used for acute attack of nocturnal asthma, prophylaxis of exercise-induced bronchospasm. Dose is 12 to 24 microgram inhalation BT. Next LABA is pirbitrol. It has onset of action is 10 minutes and lasts for 5 hours. Tolerance to the drug develops over time. It is non-progressive and have doubtful clinical significance. Now come to side effect of beta-2 agonist. Side effect include muscle tremor, tachycardia, hypokalemia on concurrent use of methylxanthines, restlessness and hypoxemia. Continued use can lead to rapid downregulation or desensitization of beta 2 receptor on inflammatory cells. Now come to definition of bronchial asthma. Bronchial asthma is characterized by hyperresponsiveness of tracheobronchial smooth muscles to a variety of stimuli, resulting in narrowing of air tubes, often accompanied by increased secretion, mucosal use of anticholinergic agent in asthma. It is used in case of intolerance to beta 2 agonist and as additional therapy to LABA in acute and chronic asthma. Anticholinergic agent also used in status asthmaticus as additive effect with beta 2 agonist. Side effects of anticholinergic agents are bad taste and dryness of mouth. Acute attack of asthma precipitated by sulfur dioxide, inert dust, cold air, and emotional factor respond to these agents. They divide up systemic side effects due to poor absorption from lung mucosa. Now come to long-acting beta-2 agonist, that is LABA. It improves asthma control and reduce frequency of exacerbation. It is always used in combination with inhaled corticosteroid therapy. It allows asthma to be controlled at lower dose of inhaled corticosteroid. Example of LABA is example of SABA is albuterol or salbutamol. Dose of salbutamol is 100 microgram in single dose by inhalation or 2 to 4 milligram TDS orally. Next is terbutaline. Oral inhalation of terbutaline causes tooth enamel erosion and dose of terbutaline is 250 microgram by inhalation and 2.5 to 5 milligram BD or TDS by oral route. It is methylxanthine has narrow therapeutic window. The therapeutic range of methylxanthine is 5 to 15 milligram per liter of volume distribution. The dose of methylxanthine is 6 milligram per kg IV over 20 to 30 minutes followed by 0.5 milligram per kg per hour. The side effect of methylxanthine is anorexia, nausea, vomiting, abdominal discomfort, headache, and anxiety. It starts at greater than 20 milligram per liter of volume distribution. It causes seizure or arrhythmia at concentration greater than 40 milligram per liter of volume distribution. Now come to metabolism of methylxanthine. It has hepatic metabolism through CYP1A2. Increased clearance of methylxanthine in children, smoker, and on enzyme inducers, and have reduced clearance in case of liver disease and certain drugs such as erythromycin, ciprofloxacin, cimetidine, Gelutin, Zofirlukas, vaccination, and viral infection. Use of these drugs has been decreased because of side effect, need of plasma drug level, and availability of other effective drugs for control of. Now come to corticosteroids. Glucocorticoids are not a bronchodilator. They act by reducing bronchial hypersensitivity, mucosal edema, and inflammatory response to antigen-antibody reaction. Corticosteroids produce more complete and sustained symptomatic relief than bronchodilator and chromoglycates. Corticosteroid is used in two forms of therapy in case of bronchial asthma. One is systemic steroid therapy and another is inhalational steroid therapy. The systemic steroid therapy is applied in two of the following cases. First is severe chronic asthma and second is status asthmaticus. The severe chronic asthma, when it is not controlled by bronchodilator and inhaled steroids, or when recurrence or severity occurs. In these cases, start with prednisolone 20 to 60 milligram daily, then reduce the dose after 1 to 2 weeks of good control, and finally try to shifting the patient onto an inhalation steroids. Whereas in case of status asthmaticus, when it is not controlled by intensive bronchodilator therapy, start with a high dose of rapidly acting glucocorticoid therapy, then reduce the dose after 5 to 7 days of good control, then discontinued suddenly. Now come to inhalational steroid therapy. Inhaled steroids are beclomethasone dipropionate budesonide, fluticasone, and cyclesonide. It has been suggested that inhaled steroid should be the step 1 drug for all asthma patients because airway inflammation and bronchial development start from the beginning. But practically, they are introduced only when the disease is not only episodic and inhaled beta 2 agonists are required daily. Now come to individual discussion on inhaled steroid. First is budesonide. It is a non-halogenated glucocorticoid with high topical and systemic ratio. It is rapidly metabolized. It is used in asthma and allergic rhinitis. Dose of budesonide is 200 to 400 microgram BD by inhalation and 200 to 400 microgram per day by nasal spray. Next is fluticasone. This is newer drug and has high potency and longer duration of action. It is used in case of asthma. The dose of fluticasone is 100 to 250 microgram BD per day by inhalation. Next is flunisolide. It is used in seasonal and perennial rhinitis. The dose of flunisolide is 25 microgram per nasal spray. Next is cyclesonide. It is a prodrug that is cleaved by steroids and it is used in asthma. Dose of cyclesonide is 80 to 160 microgram by inhalation OD. Now come to leukotriene antagonist. It includes montelukast and zafirlukast, both having similar action and clinical utility. It blocks the cysteine leukotriene receptor, that is C4, D4 and E4. It is alternative for inhaled glucocorticoids. It is used for prophylactic therapy of mild and moderate asthma but not used for terminating asthma. Both are very safe drugs and have few adverse effects such as headache and rashes. It also causes eosinophilia and neuropathy infrequently. The dose of montelukast is 10 mg OD and dose of zafirlukast is 20 mg BD. Now come to corticosteroids. Glucocorticoids are not a bronchodilator. They act by reducing bronchial hypersensitivity, mucosal edema, and inflammatory response to antigen-antibody reaction. Corticosteroids produce more complete and sustained symptomatic relief than bronchodilator and chromoglycates. Now come to use of mast cell stabilizer. Mast cell stabilizer used in bronchial asthma, allergic rhinitis, and allergic conjunctivitis. In bronchial asthma, sodium chromoglycate is used as a long-term prophylactic therapy in patients not adequately controlled by inhaled bronchodilator. It is alternative for inhaled steroid in mild to moderate asthma, but not in case of severe asthma. In case of allergic rhinitis, regular prophylactic use of chromoglycate as a nasal spray produces symptomatic improvement in many patients. In case of allergic conjunctivitis, regular use of mast cell stabilizer as eye drop is beneficial in some chronic cases. Mast cell present in lungs and inflammatory cells recruited as a result of the initial reaction produce multitude of mediators. These mediators constrict bronchial smooth muscle and cause mucosal edema, hyperemia, and produce viscid secretion, all resulting in reversible airway obstruction. Now come to anti-IgE antibody, that is omalizumab. It is recombinant DNA-derived monoclonal antibody. It selectively binds to human immunoglobulin E, that is IgE, and decrease binding affinity of IgE to the high affinity IgE receptor on the surface of mast cell and basophil that reduce the allergic response. Omalizumab may be particularly useful for treatment of moderate to severe allergic asthma in patients who are poorly controlled with conventional therapy. It is administered as an IM or subcutaneous route. Due to the high cost of these drugs, the limitation of dosage and limited clinical trial data, it is not currently used as first line therapy for bronchial asthma. Now come to treatment of choice of different types of asthma. In case of mild episodic asthma, where symptom occurs less than once daily, then inhaled short-acting beta-2 agonist at onset of each episode can be used. In case of seasonal asthma, regular chromoglycate or low-dose inhaled steroid, that is 200 to 400 microgram per day, can be used. In mild chronic asthma with occasional exacerbation and patient have symptom once daily, then inhaled steroid plus chromoglycate can use. In case of moderate asthma with frequent exacerbation and patient develop symptom greater than 1 times daily, then increase dose of inhaled steroid up to 800 microgram per day plus inhaled long-acting beta-2 agonist can be used in case of severe asthma with continuous symptoms. Then regular high dose of inhaled steroid up to 2000 microgram per day plus inhaled long-acting beta-2 agonist twice daily can be used. Now come to management of status asthmaticus. Hydrocortisone hemisuccinate or any equivalent dose of glucocorticoid 100 mg IV followed by 100 to 200 mg 4 to 8 hourly through infusion. Then nebulized salbutamol 2.5 to 5 mg plus ipratropium bromide 0.5 mg intermittent inhalation driven by O2. Then high flow humidified oxygen inhalation can be used. Then if further treatment is needed, then use salbutamol or terbutaline 0.4 mg IM or subcutaneous. Inhalation and mechanical ventilation can be used in this condition and treat the chest infection with extensive antibiotic therapy and correct dehydration and acidosis with normal saline and sodium bicarbonate infusion. Thank you.